Welcome to Heart Home Community's most recent Baldwinsville Community Update. I'm your host, Shelly Hoffman. Welcome to Heart Home Community's most recent Baldwinsville Community Update. I'm your host, Shelly Hoffman. Hey, Mayor, how are you doing today?
I'm doing just fine, Shelly. How are you?
I'm doing really well. Did you have a nice 4th of July?
Yeah. It was a little cookout with the sisters and just very small, but it was nice to get together and we always just laugh. And so it was nice. How about you? You had a good weekend from what I could see on Facebook.
I did. I had a house full. I had about maybe 15 or so people staying at my house over the weekend, which the house is big enough. I mean, we weren't tripping all over each other. But if you go past my house now, my cousin's daughter who's living with me has a dog, Max, who's like a little horse living with us. And he is the sweetest thing. So I do have a new dog at my house for people that walk past. You got my obnoxious little Spencer running around out there. And now I have like a little mini horse. So, but we had a great weekend. And how can you not laugh with your sisters when one of your sisters happens to be Cindy Clarke, for crying out loud? She makes me laugh every time I see her.
Yeah, she's something, that's for sure.
So what's been happening since last we spoke?
Things have, obviously things have calmed down in the areas that got us started in this venture to begin with. We had our first in-house meeting last week, the village board, and we still are kind of spread out and adhering to some safety standards. But I think I have to go to the dentist today, and they told me that they still wear the gowns and the double masks, and I thought I felt much better going there, knowing that at least. It doesn't mean it's perfect, but it's the best protection. When you have a broken tooth, you have to get something done with it. You can't say, let's wait till spring. You won't have any tooth left at all by that point. And so people are still, for the most part, taking care to not just be crazy, but, as far as businesses and stuff, I think. But I was at Beeville Supply picking up something yesterday. They work very good with me. I call, order, pay on the phone. When I get down, they come out, put it in the back of the vehicle. I talked to the boss, the guy that owns the place. And
oh, I thought you were talking about Linda. Sorry, when you said I talked to the boss.
Well, it all depends on where I am. So I said to him, "How's business?" He said, "Really good." He said, "I gotta be honest with you. Last year was the best year we've ever had during the COVID." So I thought, wow, it just shows you, how life changed a little bit for people. They really focused on their yards, their homes, making things look nice. I'm sure some people who never planted tomato plants put a few in the ground just to see, because I'm going to be home all summer anyways. Let's see what can happen. And he said, it was amazing. And I said, well, our community did a pretty good job of supporting the local people too. I know, when I talked to Jeff Rogers, or if I talk to Sal, Jimmy Delia, they all are very grateful for the way the community responded. And looks like when you drive by, when they're, like on a Friday at 5:30, all the tables are full outside the Garlic, and you can see it full inside Pizza Man, and Sal's parking lot is packed, and people are doing well. And so glad that everybody was able to get through it. And we're now talking about funner things, so to speak.
Yes.
We are still looking for somebody to sponsor fireworks for the Rotary Seneca River Days in August. So if anybody out there is so inclined, it'd be a great way to be a hero to the local people, to have your name on the fireworks. I've talked to Lauren at the chamber and asked her if she could send out something in an email when she sends it to all the businesses. Somebody who we would least expect might think that would be a nice thing to do. So we're open. We'd like to have some fireworks, and we are short right now of videographers for Pack B. I don't know if you saw our meeting last week, but I took this laptop and I turned, and I just kept turning and facing whoever was speaking and tried to get them on camera. It worked, wasn't perfect, but people could see who was there. And I'm getting the sense that that may be the wave of the future. So I'm hoping that somebody out there who would love to, be involved in the community behind the scenes, they don't want their face shown type stuff, they could come down and run a camera. It's pretty simple. They set you up with the, the latest in cameras, and you just kind of turn the camera to whoever's talking, and it's pretty nice, and it's a nice part of the community to contribute that way. So if anybody's interested, you can get a hold of me, and I'll get them to the right people. A lot of discussion around the village. People are starting to notice trees dying up in Baldwin Hill. Somebody said on Chaucer, a lot of the street trees have no leaves on them. Most of them are ash trees. We'll be taking all those ash trees down because of the emerald borer that kills the trees. And they're hoping that if we can get some of the trees, the ones that haven't been infected yet, maybe will survive. If it was just the street trees in those developments, it would be easy. But in the parks, there's some of those real big trees.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to hire somebody to do those. That gets costly. We did get a grant, a $5,000 grant, excuse me, from the county soil and water conservation district to help us replace trees. That would give us enough to buy 30 or so. They recommend certain size of the tree, so they'll survive better. And then there's certain types of trees that are better used for that purpose. So we find somebody local who has those kind of trees and spend the $5,000 to buy as many as we can. And it may be a year or two before we get all the replacements in. But that's the goal, is to get the ash trees down and then replace them with new other species. Not anything we're excited about. We're a Tree City, USA. We have been for 30 years. And the last thing we want to do is destroy trees.
Yeah.
And you have to take care of them differently too. That's another hard part, because they don't want them just laying around and having those borers get loose and go find other trees. So you'll start seeing more and more of the trees coming down in your neighborhoods and in the parks, a lot in Community Park. Not going to be fun. Reminding people, this is going to be a continual reminder because it's a continual battle, and that is picking up trash, finding one of the 50 receptacles that we have around the village for trash, put your papers in there. And if you didn't throw a bag on the ground, but you see it, if you could pick it up and drop it in a bucket, it just helps the whole community look better.
I will tell you, Mayor, that my cousins who were up from out of state that we had just spoken about, they came from the West Virginia area. They said they just couldn't believe how clean it was. So I know obviously you and I see the garbage, but when you're coming in from other places, it really is a clean community that we live in. I think that's why people like us, when we do see a bag or a can or but they were really impressed. I thought I'd pass that along to the community about how well maintained and clean the area was. So,
it's kind of the life I live. I think things are looking good, and my wife will walk in and go, "What a mess!" Yeah, get this room picked up and look around, and geez, it looks pretty good to me. Well, I guess that kind of
a teenager right there. That's a teenager comment, sir.
Yeah. Well, Dick Clarke, America's oldest teenager.
That's right.
Let's see here. What else have we got? We are asking the police to be a little more enforceful when it comes to smoking in parks. It is illegal to smoke in our village parks. We are thinking that includes our trails because it's part of our park system.
Okay.
And it also includes drinking. There's no drinking in the parks. The village has an open container law. You can drink in your yard with an open container, but nowhere else around the village. So just a reminder, if you're in the park and you have a can of beer, you may get a tap on the shoulder from one of our law enforcement officers reminding you can't do that. Please no more drinking in the park. You know,
Are there no smoking signs on the trails? Because I don't think.
no,
I mean, I'm not a smoker, but I don't know if I would have thought about that for the trails. You know,
that's something we're having to get caught up on.
Okay.
We once before were able to use park money to pave trails because we were told that the trails they connect the parks and that type, so it's part of your park system. But we don't have signage up on the trails. First of all, because they're long in some cases, and how many signs would you have to put up? But we are getting a little more caught up with that kind of stuff. I felt good yesterday. Speaking of signs, it was coming west by the library, and I saw a young lady getting ready to cross. I could see her walking down Virginia Street, and she stepped down, so I stopped, and I could see the car coming the other way. Wasn't going to stop until I did, and then it kind of looked up, and then you could see the person saw her, and stop. So we can teach people by doing the things that are right. Other people will follow suit. So again, picking up trash, stopping at the crosswalks, all that kind of stuff. If we who live here do the right thing, people who are visiting or unaware of our laws will catch on quicker. So today is Wellness Wednesday on Paper Mill Island. That's the yoga class at 4:30. I did find out, so I got a message that the church on the island had 50 people Sunday. That's terrific. It's 8 to 8:30 every Sunday. It doesn't matter what faith you are. If you want to go out and worship in the fresh air and maybe get your church commitment in early in the day so you can go do other things, that's a great way to do it. So again, that's 8 to 8:30 on Paper Mill Island. Everybody's welcome. Let's see here. Canton Woods is going full speed now. The numbers are picking up slowly. It's taking time for people to realize that it is open. And again, you will be asked the first time you go whether or not you've had the vaccine. If you have, you're okay without a mask. If you have not had a vaccine or you don't want to tell them whether you have, then you'll have to wear a mask. But I guess they had 6 tables for pitch the other day, which is pretty cool to be that far back already. Those card players are pretty dedicated. Ruth Troy wanted to remind me that on the 15th of July, which is a Thursday, next Thursday, at 2 o'clock is Jerry Callie concert at the gazebo. Jerry Callie is one of those older guys who can sing from Sinatra to Paul Simon. I think he can, and everybody in between. A little older style, but he's a real crowd pleaser. People really like him. So it's open to everybody. It's 2 o'clock on July 15th at Canton Woods. Farmers Market coupons. Contact the center to find out how to get on the distribution list for that. And as Ruth said, they're open 8 to 4. If you haven't gotten a newsletter, call and get one, or you can check the village website, and the schedule is on the website. And it's good to see the seniors sort of back full speed and doing what they love to do. I did get a note yesterday. One of the real special treats we have almost every summer is a bike tour coming through the village. We've had one that started in Seattle and went all the way to Boston, and they stopped here for lunch or dinner. I can't remember, but it was interesting because there were people from all over the world that would fly, and it was a big fundraiser. And it cost. It was like going on a cruise as far as the cost. It wasn't, just ride your bike and be a part of it, because they fed them very well at every stop, and had schools open up to let them sleep in school gymnasiums, and they went to restaurants for dinners and things like that. And that was all part of the cost. I'm guessing it was like $10,000 or something for this bike tour. But there were people from Denmark, people from Sweden, Japan. It was very interesting to meet some of them and to get their impression of our village. And it was nice to hear what they had to say. This one is the Empire State Ride, which starts in which direction they go. I think they start from the east and end up at Roswell Park. whatever the one is in Buffalo, the cancer center. It's a fundraiser for that. And they stop here for a lunch break. So they'll set up and have tables, and they have cut up oranges and grapes and things that are kind of recharge the fluids, but they also have sandwiches available. They make their own little pizzas. People have pizza for lunch. The bathrooms are right there at the park. People go down by the water and check out the geese and the ducks and really enjoy a 45-minute stop, because they come in continually. So the first people come in, put their bikes, come over, get something to drink, some Gatorade, whatever, fruit, have a little something else to eat, check with one of the organizers on where they're going for their next stop. And after half hour or so, they're going. And meanwhile, more people are coming in. And if you're at the park, they usually come down Charlotte Street. So you can see them, coming into the park area. And, they wave to each other as they go by, the ones that are leaving to head out. And they follow a beautiful route. They come through the Montezuma Reserve and see, you would see some animals coming through. They always say this is one of the nicer stops because it's less, the roads that they're on are less traveled with vehicles, and not as many hills, because there are some areas where the hills are pretty tough. And they have a map for the day, and it actually shows the elevation, so they know within 2 miles you're going to have a big drop, but then a hill to go back up on the other side. So now you got to gain some speed, and they have stops along the way. People pull up with a van. They're in the group and have water and Gatorade and Band-Aids, and they have mechanics to fix the bikes in case somebody gets a flat tire, that type of thing. So it's a real nice deal.
So when is that, Mayor?
Pardon me?
When is that? What's the date?
That is Thursday, the 29th of July, the last Thursday of the month. People from the village are more than welcome to come down. They love to talk to people who live here because they want to know, what makes this area tick. And some of them talk about coming back after the ride. I'm going to bring my family back and have lunch here someday and take a real good look at the village, because you really don't get to see much of it when you're traveling like this. I know that the chief always comes down because the chief is a cyclist and enjoys looking at the equipment they have and that type of stuff. And I've always encouraged Bruce Stebbins.
He's a biker. Yeah.
Bruce is a big biker. Right? You talk to him, I just did 65 miles today. Can't move. Body hurts. They're talking about going 70 miles tomorrow. And where Bruce goes is always over towards Skaneateles, Marcellus, Otisco. So a lot of hills, real country roads. Got to be beautiful rides, because that's beautiful country. So if anybody wants to, again, that's the 29th of July, a Thursday. I can't tell you the time, but it's usually lunchtime, and we might know a little more when we get closer. But I would say if anybody's, if you're retired, come on down, park around 11, and probably by 1 o'clock, most of them have come in and are heading back out. So you get to see the bikes. If you want, you can visit with people, and they'll probably ask you. They let them point towards Paper Mill. I don't want to know what that is. How old is Baldwinsville? What river is this? Where does the river go? I mean, it's the same, a lot of the same questions every year because it's different people. But this is a fundraiser to fight cancer, so it's a good cause, and the more the merrier. And I'm trying to think if I have anything else.
While you're thinking, I was going to mention I had gone to a rodent cutting. I didn't know if you saw that there was a business in town called the Cage Fish Escape Room. And I wasn't really sure what that was, based on the name Cage Fish Escape Room. So there's escape rooms like Destiny has 5 wicks, things like that. But the owner, Dominic, it's Mysteries of Baldwinsville. So you go into the room where the Painting Cafe used to be in the Titcomb building. Mm-hmm. And he has a room back there where you kind of solve a mystery of Baldwinsville. So any history buffs that are in here might be something that you want to check out. Even though we did the ribbon cutting, he's actually been open for a little bit, and there are some people there that have already gone through. I think the one that he was running, I don't know if he still is, but it was there was a murder on Marble Street years in our history books, I guess, basically of Beeville. But I did a walkthrough. I did not solve the mystery, but I kind of took a peek in the room, and it was pretty cool. I got it, it's something different here in the village. So if you have not looked into it, he has a Facebook page. I'm pretty sure he has Instagram. He's kind of
one of the things where you get locked in the room and you can't get out until you solve the mystery?
Yeah, which is my fear of going in, because I'm not the best mystery. I mean, I think there is a time limit, so eventually he will come in and save you.
You hope.
But if you can't find me, Mayor, that's probably where I am. I'm trying to get out of.
I'll send the police over there looking for you.
Oh my goodness, I'll never hear the end of it if you have to send any of Chief Lepenchek's guys to go get me.
I hope it works, because one of the things that you hope for is that, like people will say, oh, I see they're fixing this building up. Must be it's either going to be a pizza joint or an insurance company.
Or a real estate brokerage. Let's be honest. If you look at the strip down there underneath the clock between Sammy's, there's 3 real estate companies. I've heard that quite a bit lately.
yeah. And so people will get funny about, that's just what we need is another pizza place. There was a story a while back that's I think in the Messenger about all the number of pizza places, and every one of them thrives. So that tells you about our people.
Well, the other thing that's happening is I mentioned that he's where Johnny Lynn's Painting Cafe used to be. She's actually moved. She's having a ribbon cutting on Friday for her new location with some ice cream socials and a little takeaway art craft thing. And that's at 1:00 on Friday. She's next to, where Seneca Savings is, obviously. Mm-hmm. Then you have that hair place. And then there's a little back door, alley door that she's brightened up a little bit. You can go through there. Or if you go behind Seneca Savings, where that parking lot is, there's a row of businesses and I think apartments back there, and it says the Painting Cafe. But she's doing her ribbon cutting on 1:00 on Friday with some ice cream, art. How can you go wrong with those two things put together?
Right. And my wife has had contact with her because my wife has started doing something and just checking to see what kind of stuff she's doing. My wife likes to do what they call the whimsical painting, which means we're not adhering to a perfect shape of something. We're just doing something that look like, if you do flowers and maybe they're a little bigger than they normally would be, who cares? Because we're not trying to be perfect.
Yeah.
And she really enjoys that kind of painting.
And she's getting really good at it. Everything I do is whimsical painting, but it's.
See, I used to get in trouble with art because I was too precise. I wanted to draw with a pencil, and they wanted you to draw with like charcoal or something because you had to be bigger. And I would draw faces, in the eyes and the nose, and they'd say, "That's nice, but we want you to." I said, "But I don't want to draw something that doesn't look like who I'm drawing."
Yeah.
So I have a hard time. I don't have that art sense.
No. My daughter's actually helping her with the art camps this week. So Allie would be down there, and she loves drawing, and she's probably right there with Linda and right there with Johnny Lynn as far as how she does things. But when you have talent like my daughter and those ladies, it's really awesome. I've seen Linda's post on social media. She's gotten, and that was something she just picked up through COVID, right? It wasn't something she was doing before.
Right. Yeah, no, she had never done that before, and she always wanted to paint. And I think she found it on Facebook or something, and she's found several instructors, and they're all different.
Yeah.
And some of them are very much, I'm showing you what I think, but you do what you want. And she does that. I mean, she uses them for a guide.
Right.
But sometimes she makes it more yellow than they do, or she puts a little more of an outline on something than they do. And I got to be honest, I like what she comes up with better than what they have most of the time. And she's sold a couple of them.
I know. She's doing really, really well.
Tickled. I mean, she thought she was doing this to just have fun and express herself, and to think that other people kind of enjoy it, that makes her feel good. I do want to remind people of one thing. We did have a public session the other day with the county executive to announce the second round of Main Street grants.
Yes. Oh, I was supposed to ask you that. Bob Wicks had brought it up, and he said for people to reach out to you in the town of Lysander because you probably have more information. So thank you for bringing that up today.
Yeah, and for businesses in the village, contact our code officer. There's a step we ask you to do. You describe what you're going to do and how it benefits the community that you'll have this done. And we really think that helped us get the first round because everybody was very expressive on how they thought they were a part of the community, and it made the community better because they were better. And this round does include businesses in the towns, but now you have to go through the towns to get it. You don't come through the village. So you would have to contact the town of Lysander if you're obviously, they call them Main Street. So I'm trying to think of what main streets Lysander would have, mostly right there on 31. The dog care place all the way through, through past the Sunshine Market or whatever. And there's really, other than that, there's not a business district in Lysander that I'm aware of. But Van Buren obviously has more. I mean, you have all Seneca Knolls, that strip of businesses, anywhere along 48 and maybe onto Jones Road a little bit. But you have to be, you can't be opening a business out in the country on a dirt road. They're looking for something that's going to be visible.
Yeah.
They want the money that is being spent by the county to be something that can be seen by the public. It's kind of like the federal stimulus stuff that we are working on, making sure that, we're ready to handle. Is they don't want you to put that money in the bank and lower taxes. They want you to spend that money because they want construction people working.
Yes.
They want architects working. They want that, and they're paying taxes on the money they make. So now that it's like some of it cycles back into the tax rolls, and we're happy to be a part of it. But you have to make sure you adhere to certain rules because you can't just do anything.
Right.
But we have some pretty good ideas on where to spend some of the money we're going to be getting, and it's over 2 years, so that we can do some this year, and then now when we're doing the budget for next year, we know how much money we'll have, and we can include it. So it's exciting, and it's also a little overwhelming, the amounts of money that people are getting, but it's for big projects that you thought you had no chance to get done for a while.
Hey.
We'll get them done.
Look at my building. Case in point, I was part of the first one, and I thought it would take me 5 years to get that clock working, and the clock works. And we fixed some problems that the building had. So that, I think it's great that the county offers the Main Street grant program.
And I think the sports bowl looks terrific.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Gary was thrilled that they chose to be in front of his place, and I was explaining to a couple of county people, I said, this used to have a kind of a garish, I don't know, it's a purplish blue, was really, disco-ish looking. And now it fits in with our color scheme. I'm sure they went in front of the ARB to get the right colors. And it's very attractive. And, and I know Gary did a lot of the work himself, which made it even more attractive to us to know that not only did he do it, but he could do it with his own hands. And
well, he's a contractor, because you do have to have a contractor doing it, but Gary is a contractor.
He's a contractor, right? And I explained to people, I said we didn't get all of them finished this year yet because it was a huge problem trying to find contractors.
Yeah.
Because of the COVID, people didn't want to work. They were afraid they'd get sick. It was hard to have a staff sitting around hoping something like this would come up. So you say, well, we're just not going to do anything for a month. And then when it came time when you could do stuff, everybody wanted them.
Yeah.
And you want people you trust. You don't want to just, stab in the phone book and say, oh, I'll call them up and see what they do. We have people like Brian King locally who people seem to have a lot of faith in. Everybody wanted him for everything. And I'm sure he would have loved to have been able to do it all. But fortunately, he got yours done. You got him. You got it early.
I got him early. I grabbed him before anybody else could possibly grab that.
And it worked out. We had a Christmas tree on the roof, and then it all worked out. So, and I I had a nice talk with Lauren yesterday. She's fitting in very nicely in that chamber role. She had sent me a message that some of the boaters have asked when the volunteer or the visitor center's closed, could there be access to some of the brochures? So she's looking for some sort of a shelf type thing where she can stick some of the major brochures in. There's always the fear that the people who wander through with nothing good intended,
right,
see them and they'll all end up in the river and we'll have a mess. But I talked to her and she's very involved in a lot of different things right now. And I said, you got the perfect personality. This job needs somebody, aggressive and Lauren's a go-getter.
she definitely is.
And so it's nice to know, and I hope she doesn't burn herself out because I know she doesn't just do that. I mean, she does a lot of stuff, and but she's always fun to talk with, and easy to talk, very cooperative. So this has been a nice transition, and I hope it works well for her. I don't have anything else to mention. I know that Chuck McAuliffe had mentioned before that people should check out the wall where the boats are. That because of the Canadian, they're being a lot tighter with the virus stuff. I don't even know if they've opened up the country yet for Canadians to come back that were caught outside. I know that the baseball team is talking about the end of the month, maybe being able to finally play in Toronto again. But there's a loop that they do that goes through the Great Lakes to Chicago. And they end up working their way down the Mississippi, out into the Gulf, around Florida, and then back up to New York Harbor and up the Hudson. And there's this nice big loop that bigger boats like to do. And apparently some of the waters that are where you go, that you actually have to dock in Canada, that's apparently been closed. So more of them have been coming down this way from Oswego. And then they're going to go west through the canal. And Chuck said, boy, there's some big boats over there. And I drive by anytime I'm out. I try to go down River Street so I can see who's parked. And if anybody's around, those people are usually the nicest people. So if you're looking for something to do, you're walking, walk up there and ask them where they're from. Usually have some good stories about their travels. And it's one of the real things that makes it fun to live in Baldwinsville, I think, to see boats and you just don't know where they're from. We were at the Bahamas and then we came up through the Intercoastal Waterway and we're going to wind up in New Orleans and wow, the old magic of the river. And these people are living, they're all retired just about. And you can usually see when they're walking on the streets, you can say, those are boat people. As they just look, they're walking different and they're looking around and like they don't know where they are for sure. And so I hope our businesses enjoy having some new business and are nice to our boat people. And hope everybody's enjoying summer. And
yep. Well, I definitely am. I'm just happy that things have opened up just a little bit. In talking to Bob, really the middle of May to the end of May, they really lifted a lot of the restrictions and so far so good. Everyone still seems to be staying healthy and enjoying it. But I did tell someone this morning, I feel like I live in Florida because every day we're getting a little bit of rain. Isn't that Florida weather?
It's weird.
It's weird.
I mean, I like it for my garden and I don't have to water some of the outside hanging plants, that are out on the side of the shed and stuff. But it's not good for like garden plants, vegetables, because too much rain, they end up getting rot and stuff, and you have to worry about that. So, and the weeds grow like crazy when that's my next venture today is to get out and pull weeds.
Yeah. Well, when you run out of weeds at your house, feel free to walk down to mine because there's some.
I don't think so.
I tried. All right, Mayor. Well, you enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks
Okay,
again.
Shelley. Be good.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.